Welcome to our Sports Pad, your half-hour weekly look at Sooner sports from our perspective. I'm Josh Kopelman.
And I'm Lindsay Ruda.
Coming up on Sports Pad, OU football had some bear trouble down in Waco.
And we'll tell you how Lon Kruger's boys fared on the hardwood this weekend.
Hello and welcome to our Sports Pad. I'm Josh Kopelman. She's Lindsay Ruda. The national title game might be out of reach for now for the Sooners.
Unfortunately, after a poor showing in Waco, the Sooners are now a two-loss team. Josh, you actually went down to the Baylor Bear territory.
I was down there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the highlights. Blake Bell and the Sooners warming up for the game. Blake Bell played a big part in this one. Tied at 17, third quarter, Blake Bell in the bulldozer. That's a touchdown, his second of the game. 24-17 Sooners. That'd be the last time they led those. Robert Griffin coming through. The tip pass, Kendall Wright right there to pick it up and get into the end zone for the touchdown, 24-24. At that point, now next Baylor possession, or later in the third quarter, it's the same score. Robert Griffin, play action fake. That's Jordan Najvar with the touchdown catch, 31-24. Baylor lead by as many as 14 in the fourth quarter, but now it's a 7-point game. Blake Bell again with his fourth touchdown of the game. That made it a 1-point game. OU decides to go for two and try for the win, but on the 2-point conversion, OU getting a little excited, a little ahead of themselves, false start. They're forced to kick the extra point, so it's a tie game. Baylor decides they'll run out the clock, but OU calls a timeout. Next Baylor play, Baylor says, all right, we'll go ahead and try to score. Robert Griffin's like, I'm just going to go ahead and run it. It's a 22-yard gain. First down, Baylor. So now clock ticking. Griffin looking to make anything happen. Time running out in the game. Griffin throws it up the back of the end zone, and that's Terrence Wright for the touchdown. Baylor gets a 45-38 lead. They recover the kickoff and win the game, 45-38 as the students storm the field.
And with that, Robert Griffin's play drops OU down in the BCS standings, but the Sooners are still in the top 10. Josh, let's take a look at those standings.
Well, in the BCS, number one is Alabama, or number one, excuse me, is LSU. Number two is Alabama. Number three, followed right behind them, is Arkansas, followed by Oklahoma State and Virginia Tech.
And after that, Stanford bounces back up after falling with their loss to Oregon. The Cardinal resides at number 6, followed by Boise State at 7, and the University of Houston Cougars at number 8. Oklahoma dropped down to number 9 following their second loss, and Oregon rounds out at number 10.
All right, after the game, OU took on Baylor. OU had trouble stopping Robert Griffin. Let's take a look what they had to say after the game.
He's a good player in regards to throwing and running. He's got good vision. He extends plays with his legs. He's tough. He's a good competitor. He's got good vision down the field. When things break down, he can beat you, running the ball and moving the chains that way.
We was trying to get to him, but we weren't trying to let him be comfortable back there. We know how dangerous he was on his feet. It was just, I don't know. They made the big plays when they needed to.
Too many mental busts on the defensive side of the ball. We just didn't do very good in the pass coverage. So, he's a great player, but I think we helped him out a lot.
We rushed past him. We got too deep, and we gave up some. Gave him some opportunity to scramble out until the last drive. We did do a really good job, and the last drive is what counts, and we didn't do it. Every week, you can be beaten, and again, Baylor played an excellent game and did that tonight.
Now, Andrew Ford joins me in studio again for our weekly update on the football debrief. Now, Andrew, what would you say was the biggest letdown for the Sooners this past weekend against Baylor?
Well, by far, it was the loss of a national championship hope. That once again, OU, just as in history, OU has had the national championship right there in their grasps, and they just were not able to get to it. The fact that Baylor went out and just absolutely torched the defense for over 600 yards. The first loss against Texas Tech set a record for most yards given up. Well, the Baylor loss set another record for most yards given up. Robert Griffin just showed why he's just an amazing player. He's just a great athlete. You cannot let him make a play make the plays that he did. OU was giving up the big play left and right, and they just could not stop Robert Griffin. And, I mean, luck went Baylor's way as well. You look at that right there, a tipped pass, 20 yards downfield, the ball was tipped. I mean, it was Baylor's night, and it just wasn't the night for OU.
Now, 51 seconds left in the game. The Sooners tie it up, and it looked like Baylor was going to go ahead and knee the ball, let it go to overtime, and then Bob Stoops calls for a timeout. Was that a mistake? It's
a huge mistake. It's going to be a mistake that'll go down as one of Bob Stoops' worst mistakes. It's the timeout heard round the world. I mean, here Baylor is, tied ball game. Baylor is willing and ready to go to overtime. OU had just scored twice. Baylor could not stop OU's offense. But the fact is, calling a timeout basically let Baylor let them do whatever they wanted to. I mean, Baylor had 85 yards to go, big play after big play. It was given up all night. In the grand scheme of things, you would much rather go to overtime to where your offense was dominating, because at least in overtime, your offense has a chance, whereas at the end of the game, your offense doesn't have a chance.
Now, some people think he called the timeout because the Sooners were not lined up properly. Did you see that? Did that appear to be an issue?
Did not look like that to me. I mean, you could see some of the players' reactions on the field when the timeout was called. They couldn't believe that because the timeout was called immediately after the whistle was blown. So I don't think that's what it was. It was just Bob Stoops was trying to take a gamble on winning it in regulation. It just didn't work out.
Okay, and real quick before we move on and look ahead for the Sooners, what are the goals for this team as far as the rest of the season goes?
Big 12 championship. You win out, you're the Big 12 champions. Plain and simple. You win out, you go to the Fiesta Bowl. Fiesta Bowl is going to be a great game this year because it could be Stanford, Nebraska. There's no telling who it's going to be. So there's still a lot of things left in front of this Sooner team.
Great. Now looking to this coming weekend, Iowa State is coming off a big upset for the number 2 Oklahoma State Cowboys, and that they'll be coming down to Norman this weekend. What do the Sooners need to expect from a team like Iowa State?
You got a team that's on top of the world right now. They just had the biggest win in program history, beating the number 2 Oklahoma State Cowboys. I mean, here is Iowa State, a huge underdog to OSU, and they held OSU to 60 yards rushing. They forced 5 turnovers. And Jared Barnett, a quarterback who is 3-0 as a starter, this is the thing, 376 yards passing and 84 yards rushing. Robert Griffin killed OU passing and rushing. Jared Barnett is just as capable of doing it. He's not near the athlete of Robert Griffin, but he is very capable of going out and beating OU with the run and the pass. I mean, OU has to be on their heels. They have to take what they saw from Robert Griffin and the Baylor offense, put that to the Iowa State team. I mean, Iowa State is a team that's on top of the world right now. So, in hindsight, they are due for a little letdown. I mean, it's hard to get up and to maintain that kind of momentum after you just beaten the number 2 team, and now you got to go to Oklahoma, which Oklahoma's always a tough place to play. It's gonna be difficult for Baylor, but Baylor is a really good team. Or Iowa State. Iowa State's a really good team. Paul Rhodes is one of the most underrated coaches in the Big 12, and he's gonna have his guys ready.
Well, hopefully the Sooners will show up and bring back that consistent team that we know them to be this weekend. We're gonna take a quick break here, folks, but when we return, Soonergate was back in action in Waco. Welcome back to our Sports Pad. This weekend, Soonergate was down in Waco, Texas to see how the Baylor Bears tailgate.
Welcome back to Soonergate. This week, we head I-35 southbound and headed to Waco, Texas, home of Los Osos de Baylor.
While we were there, we were able to check out the Cutaway Bears, and some freshmen educated us on what the Baylor Line is.
Despite the outcome, it was still a great and exciting game that Baylor fans won't soon forget.
The Bears are really special to Baylor. I mean, it's our mascot, and we keep them pampered, and it's a very big tradition for Baylor.
Waco, there's not a whole lot here. It's not really a college town. It's more like a living town. It's very spread out. There's really not a lot to do, not a lot of bars. It's nothing like Norman at all. No. But for the game, OU Baylor, they are undefeated at home, and we've also never lost at Baylor. I don't think it's going to be a close game at all. Robert Griffin's good, but our defense is better.
Surely they weren't the only Sooner fans to feel that way. Instead, RG3 used this game as the soapbox for his Heisman campaign.
The Baylor Line is one of the most unique traditions of the program, and we were able to find some freshmen to explain that and talk about the game day atmosphere.
It's definitely like the tailgating, and then plus like the whole game. Like I think this is like the best.
Just the atmosphere, like also with the chambers too. Like they just get us so pumped up and stuff.
Yeah, because the chamber leaders lead us in cheers. And it's really fun. The freshman line is all the freshmen. We get jerseys and we stand behind the opponent's bench and we cheer for Baylor. It really helps the team out and to cheer them on.
Yeah, it really encourages them. And then right before the game, we all rush the line, and it's pretty cool to see all the freshmen like band together and just like run the field and stuff.
And it's crazy. Like it's so much fun. Never lost at home this season, so we're gonna win. So
most definitely.
The most passionate line members got to stand on the field and run the flags during the game. When asked why,
basically we got here on the field because we're the best fans that Baylor has.
It certainly was Bear country as the Sooners fell on a losing effort. We got some fan reaction after the game.
Well, you know, it was incredible. You know, it was close. You know, neck and neck that last minute. You know, I felt pretty confident that we were going to win in the fourth quarter, but that last minute, you know, y'all came back and scared the hell out of us. But
I was really nervous at the end when we were neck and neck, and then I didn't think we had enough time to win, so I was really stressed out at the last part.
Join us next week on Soonergate as we explore RV City at Lloyd Noble Center and my last game as a student against the Iowa State Cyclones.
Looks like our Soonergate team had a great time in Waco. We look forward to seeing them back in Sooner Country this weekend.
Sports Pad is taking a timeout, but when we come back, basketball was back in action along with the volleyball and cross country teams. Welcome back. The Oklahoma men's basketball team took on Coppin State on Friday night. Before the game, OU held a moment of silence for OSU women's head basketball coach Kurt Budke and assistant Maria Serna, who died in a plane crash on Thursday. OU got off to a hot start. They lead by as many as 19 at the half. Now, second half up by 19. That's Romero Osby jamming it home. Gave OU lead 44-23. Later, Stephen Pledger had a big game. OU up big. He knocks down to three, led the team in scoring with 20 points. And now OU up by almost 30 as Andrew Fitzgerald. The reverse layup, Sooners win big 92-65. Romero Osby had a double-double with 11 points and 10 boards, and Stephen Pledger led the Sooners in scoring with 20 points. After the game, head coach Lon Kruger talked about Pledger.
But he does so much more. You know, he sees the floor well. He's got a good feel for the game. He makes plays for others. Defensively, he's got a good feel. He's just as an experienced player out there. You notice the shots he makes, but he does a lot of other things really well on the floor too.
Over on the women's side of the court, the Sooners traveled to New Mexico to take on the Lobos. The Sooners were down 38-30 at the half, but came back and won on a Whitney hand putback with 16 seconds left. OU will play Liberty at the Vanderbilt Thanksgiving tournament on Friday.
The Sooner volleyball team's struggles continued on Saturday against Texas A&M. Sooners fell 3-1, dropping the last set of the match. The last three sets of the match, excuse me. OU has now lost 5 of its last 6, including 3 in a row at home. The next game for the Sooners is Wednesday when they host Texas Tech.
And the OU men's cross-country team returned from Terre Haute, Indiana today with a top 10 victory. The men placed 6th overall at the NCAA championships. Junior Bill Kogel led the Sooners, placing 29th with a time of 29 minutes and 8 seconds, snagging his first All-American honor. The Sooners finished second among the Big 12 teams competing, following Oklahoma State with an impressive second-place finish. And the lone Lady Sooner, Jessica Engel, placed 86th with a time of 20 minutes and 54 seconds. Coming up on Sports Pad, Andrew Ford returns in studio with OU lineman Ben Habern.
Plus, we discuss the BCS shakeup. Stick around.
Welcome back, everyone, to our Sports Pad. Once again, I am Andrew Ford. Now I am joined by the starting center for the University of Oklahoma, Ben Habern. Ben, thanks for coming on here, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Now, starting off, it was a tough loss on Saturday. Talk about that game a little bit and just what were some of the little things that went wrong.
Yeah, it was a tough loss. I mean, especially with our, national championship implications and knowing that we were still in the race and in the hunt. Was really frustrating. Just that first half we couldn't get it going. I think we finally realized second half, we're okay. We're down 7, we got to pick it up and get going, and so we did. But it was just, we didn't have enough time, and that first half was, a struggle for us. But I was proud of our guys and proud of, the players. We played well in the second half. It just, we didn't have enough.
Now, looking forward, the national championship game, like you said, is unfortunately out of the picture. But you guys still have a lot of goals left in front of you within the Big 12. What are some of the things that you guys are going to have to do now to work towards those? We
just need to really, kind of tighten down and, focus up and know that, we still have a Big 12 championship that we can win. And, we got Iowa State this week who, most people know that they just knocked off Oklahoma State, who was number 2. So they're a good football team, and we can't pass them up knowing that, we can play Oklahoma State for the Big 12 championship. So we have to know, we have to prepare like any other week for Iowa State, and hopefully, pull out a win, and then going into Oklahoma State knowing what's at stake.
Now, earlier this year, you suffered an unfortunate injury in the Missouri game. What exactly happened that caused the injury, and what was your mindset like when you found out how severe the injury was?
Yeah, the play was kind of a freak play. I was just pass blocking a guy. And, D linemen do this move to me all the time, but he just came and chopped my arm down. And right when he hit my arm went numb, and it was just kind of, I thought I'd just like hit a nerve or something, whatever. And so came off the sidelines and talked to Dr. Schnabel, and, they got an x-ray and told me I had broke the bone in my forearm. And, from there on, I was just like in shock. Like it was so weird. I didn't really think that could actually happen just by someone doing that to me. But it was difficult going through the process, and had surgery and all that kind of stuff, but went by quick, and I'm back out there, so it's going good.
Now, last question here. You and another number of student athletes went on a very special trip, Sooners for Haiti. Talk about that experience real quick, and just what was that like? Yeah,
it was a really special experience. It was something that I definitely won't ever forget. It was awesome being able to love on those kids out there, and honestly, I'll admit they taught us more than we actually taught them. They were just right when you walk up to them, they're just wanting to jump, run, and hug you and love on you. That's awesome. So it was pretty special, and I definitely won't forget, and I hope I can go back someday.
All right, Ben, thanks so much for coming on, and good luck the rest of the season here, man. We're really looking forward to it. All right, stay tuned. We got some discussion for you guys.
Welcome back to Sports Pad. Lindsay and I are now joined by Drake Diacon and Kevin Kues. Guys, welcome to the show. First things first, OU falling to Baylor this weekend. What happened in that game?
You look at it, there were huge breakdowns in the secondary this last week. A lot of them attributed to Javon Harris. The defense overall in the second half just didn't look prepared to play at all. The Art Brow's offense is set on taking advantage of mismatches and having big breaks and big plays, and basically that's what happened. The OU defense just did not look ready to play in the second half on Saturday.
Yeah, I want to be careful because I want Ben Habern to beat me up if he hears this.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The defense, yeah.
But offensively, there was no firepower, there were no big plays, there was no explosiveness. It was just boring, very mundane, just small plays, and you can kind of tell they really do miss Ryan Broyles and Dominic Whaley a lot.
Especially on those deep passes, a lot of them, Broyles seems like it's an automatic catch when they throw it down there. But it still, missed a few on there.
Yeah, he dropped that one on that third down. It cost him big time.
Now, Lindsay, what were your thoughts on the game?
I agree with both of what y'all said. I also think, Landry, again, streaky, not consistent, not the leader the Sooners need him to be out there on the field. So I think it was, like the gentlemen have said, a combination of a lot of breakdowns in that team.
So, it's pretty tough for OU to make it back to the national title game. But right now it's looking like we could be having a rematch between LSU and Alabama. What are your thoughts on that? Do you like seeing a rematch?
Well, ask yourself this. Who are the two best teams in college football? to me, it's pretty clear. It's LSU and Alabama. So why not give them another shot? Just because you don't want to see a game in the first game was pretty boring, that's not a fair reason to say the best two teams can't play each other for the championship. And look at other sports. It happens all the time.
What if LSU loses to Arkansas this weekend?
Oh, I don't want to talk about that. It's just that. Yeah.
You're talking about mass chaos if that happens. I think that everybody in Bristol is pretty much hoping that that doesn't happen at all, because there are a number of different things that could just occur with that. So there's no telling.
So you're looking for LSU, Alabama?
I think it's only fair, like you said, top two teams. Those are the top two teams.
It could be. Those, as of right now, they're looking like the top two. They're ranked 1 and 2 in the BCS standings. And that's all the time we have for now, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Watch us next week, same time, same place. I'm Lindsay Ruda, and he's Josh Koppelman. And on behalf of our entire student team here on SportsPad, good night. We'll see you next week.